All right, I will call this meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us for our September 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Workforce Development Board for the City of St. Louis. We'll start with William to lead us through the roll call.
All right, awesome. Welcome, everyone. All right, so first up, we have Eileen Caffey.
Here.
All right, Lydia Padilla. Okay. Dory Harris.
Dory is here. Dory, you may be
Yeah.
muted. Say
Yeah, I
hi.
was muted. Here, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Okay, Dory's here.
All right, awesome.
Morning.
Lakeisha Mathis.
Here.
Mary Lame. Justin Bennett.
Present.
Charlotte Hammond. Kendra Holmes. Donita Neal.
Present.
Roger Spearman.
Here.
Justin Raimundo.
Here.
Lucinel Haberberger. Susan again. William Bell, President. Jose Argon.
Present.
Thank you.
Sherry Tillis. Michael Newton.
Present. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Regina Greer. Allison Dino.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Julie Fickus.
Present.
Awesome. Keevan Durame.
I didn't see him.
Stacy Fowler.
Here.
Awesome. Jerry Bowles.
Present.
Kimberly Chaplin. And Michelle Graham.
Present.
And then William, just
All right.
noting that Charlotte Hammond just joined as well.
Okay.
Hey, Charlotte.
3, 4, 5, 7.
Good morning.
Good morning,
right, so-
Charlotte.
So that puts us at 16, and we do have a quorum.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining on this morning as we enter fall season. I'm excited to kick off this conversation with a board member spotlight. So Dory Harris has recently joined our board. I'm excited to learn more about her. Dory, would you like to introduce yourself and let us know about who you are and then your excitement for the participation in the board?
I'm Dory Harris. I'm really excited to be on this board. I actually own a steel erection company where we pretty much do bridges and reinforcing steel. I've been in the industry and been around probably about 40 years. I don't want to date myself. I've been around a while. A lot of you guys I know, like Stacy Fowler and all you guys. I've known, and so I'm just glad to be here.
Dory, we are grateful for your leadership here as a board member and excited to have you on the board and glad to know that your network includes many folks on this call. So I will move over to the Slate staff spotlight. I don't know if Connie or others want to introduce Marilyn.
Okay. Is Cassandra on the call? I'll start because I don't see Cassandra. I am proud to, but let me just see. Cassandra, are you on the call?
I saw her.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm proud to introduce Miss Marilyn Aleem. She is our new fiscal manager. She comes with over 25 years of accounting experience. She worked for the Department of Mental Health and was at the Bell Fountain Rehabilitation Center. She just retired from the state of Missouri and is excited about starting her second career in this field here at Slate. And so we are proud to have her and honored to have her to help us navigate during these turbulent times in the fiscal realm. So her experience is needed and the timing is right. So welcome, Marilyn.
You. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here. Ms. Johnson pretty much summed it up, and thank you for that blessed introduction. I appreciate it.
We
Well,
appreciate you.
Yes, we're very excited for your participation, for your contributions, for your experience. As Connie mentioned during this somewhat, disruptive time related to funding. So we are thankful that you're here. All right, Rochelle, I think I kick it over to you for our training.
Thank you. Wait, I think I'm on mute.
No, we hear you.
I'm good. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to see all of you again as we kick off the beginning of the fall season when everybody gets busy again. And today, Connie asked me to talk to you about the board's role and responsibilities in terms of the implementation of our various workforce development programs. And so I've called this presentation Workforce Boards and Chief Elected Officials because the two of you really are responsible for oversight and implementation of the programs. There are many things you do together, and there are some things each of you are responsible for alone, but you both need to understand each other's roles. So the system starts really with the local elected officials, that is with the mayor. The system starts, we are number one. The system starts with the mayor because the mayor actually has to agree to become the grant recipient, that is to accept the grants. And the mayor has to also agree to the workforce development area boundaries and also is responsible for appointing the board. So each one of you who sits on the board was appointed by the mayor through the nomination process that is prescribed or written in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act law. And I'm going to refer to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act law as WIOA. So I'll use that acronym. Some people say WIOA. Everybody pronounces it a little bit differently, but you'll know what I am referring to. So the mayor appoints you and the boards derive their powers from the chief elected official or the mayor and the law. And in fact, we actually have an agreement as the state requires and the law requires between the board and the mayor that sets out the responsibilities that both of you have agreed. We're going to do this part, the mayor will do this other part, and we'll do some of these things together. And so once the mayor appoints the board is born and it becomes its own entity. And quite a number of years ago, I think back around 2019, so not that long ago, I used to work with one of the other attorneys in the solicitor's office or the city councilor's office. And some of you might remember her as Becky, and she incorporated the board. So our board is a 501c3. Okay, next one. So the mayor sets up the initial governance structure. And as I said to you before, she actually has to ask the governor in writing to designate the city. And when there's more than one governmental unit, the governmental units need to agree with each other about who will be the chief elected official. But here in St. Louis, where we are a city, that's a local area, that we know the chief elected official is the mayor. The mayor can, or the chief elected officials can designate a sub-grant recipient that acts as the grant recipient. Well, Slate is a part of city government. So while Slate, the department, does act as the sub-recipient, really the city is actually receiving the grant because we're a part of the larger city. Some of our areas in St. Louis incorporate cities and counties, and there they would have to indicate, well, who is it that's going to be receiving the funds? The mayor also selects a grant recipient, and of course, because we are embedded in city government, our fiscal agent is the city. So we have a fiscal department that manages all of the funds that we receive and sends the reports to the state on time and gives reports to Connie about how we're spending our budget versus actual and information like that. But it all rolls up into the city's fiscal system, and that's how the money is accounted for, and we're actually a part of the city's overall audit, and when they come to audit the city, they audit us as well. Okay, the next one. So as I said before, the mayor appoints each of the local board members. Well, some of you might say, but some of the board members represent governmental entities. Does the mayor appoint those individuals? Well, technically, yes. So the state or the public entity, let's say, for example, the school district, they might recommend someone to be appointed to the board, but the mayor actually has to agree that that person will represent that public entity on the board. Generally speaking, the public entities and the elected officials get along pretty well. And when there's a recommendation, generally speaking, the mayor does accept that, which is the case around the country. But every once in a while, they don't accept that individual, and the entity has to look for someone else who might represent that public entity. I don't know if many of you know this, some of you do, but we don't actually create our own bylaws the way a normal 501c3 corporation would. The mayor actually, or the chief elected official, creates the board's bylaws. And one of the reasons for that is because, excuse me, the law wanted to make sure that the board understood the connection between the boards and the elected officials who are actually liable for the funds. And because of that, they wanted to make sure that we didn't have, runaway bylaws that called for things that were not in sync with the law. And so they assigned to the elected official to create the board bylaws. And quite some time ago, I worked with the mayor who was the mayor then on creating board bylaws. And since then, when we want to change the bylaws, we do come to the board for a recommendation with respect to the change in bylaws, but we also have to make sure the mayor agrees that we can change those bylaws. Okay, next one. Next slide. As I said to you before, the mayor is liable for the dollars. So while we might make decisions about how to award our funds and how to spend our funds, it's actually the city that's going to be responsible if something is not spent, if money is not spent correctly. Okay, next one. So our mayor right now, Cara Spencer, she has to answer to the voters because that's who elected her. And she has priorities. And so we always look to align what we're going to do at the board level with the mayor's priorities so that we can help work with the city in sync to make the life in the city for our residents better. And that's generally what mayors do try to do, is make the quality of life for the residents and citizens better. Next one. So USDOL always talks about boards being strategic. So what does that mean? Well, it's a couple of things. And really, what I've done here is I've fashioned the slide so that it asks questions, because it's not an answer that's correct here. But it is something for you all to think about as we move through the decision-making process, as we provide guidance and oversight for Connie and her team. And so here are some of the things that we would ask ourselves. Number one is, how do we develop our strategic initiatives? So let's say, for example, that and I think this is actually true, that let's say that helping offenders or ex-offenders rehabilitate and enter into society more easily. How do we ease the way for immigrants to come into our society? Let's say those were two of our issues. Well, we have funds that we expend, and the board might have policies that we would then adopt and incorporate into our contracts with our one-stop or our other providers. How do we accomplish the grants goals? Every grant comes with strings. There's no free lunch. So when we get our WIOA grants, they come with strings and also include performance. So we are supposed to concentrate on serving certain target groups, and we also need to perform. We need to make sure that when we help people, they get jobs, they stay in those jobs. If we pay for their tuition or their training, we want to know that they actually finish and get the credential. All those things are measured. And so you hear reports from Connie, or you will hear them all the time, about how are we doing with our performance? How is our provider doing with performance? And we bring that because if something is awry, we also want to get the input and the experience of the board. Many of you work in policy making positions in the jobs that you have, or the head of your own companies or owners, and have a lot of experience in making sure there is performance, because you can't stay in business if you don't have performance. So we look to our board to give us guidance and to give us the benefit of their experience. Who are our partners? Who do we want to work with as we implement our programs? Do we use data that's available to us? Do we ask for the data so that when we make a decision, we're making an educated decision? There is tons and tons of labor market information that is collected and that we do share with you from time to time. What's in demand? What's not in demand? Are there new businesses moving in? What are the skills? How will AI impact us? And that's a very big conversation right now. And all of those conversations start really at the board level and then work their way into what we do every day. Next one. Go on. So the mayor and the board, as I said to you, we agree in writing about our roles. We also comment on the state's plan. We developed the local 4-year plan, and I have worked with you on the last 3 plans, or 2 plans, I think, and on its modifications. We might work with the county of St. Louis about doing things regionally. We look to the board to set policy. There's a lot of areas in the law where it directs the staff to get the board's input with respect to certain decisions. And that means the staff cannot make the decision in those areas. And we also look to decide how to invest non-federal funds if we get them. Sometimes we get non-federal funds, and we're also looking for board's input there so we can coordinate how we roll out our programs across the city. Okay. Next one. So the board and the mayor have priorities, and I went to the mayor's website and I lifted the mayor's priorities because I thought it would be important for us as a board to say, okay, these are some of the things the mayor wants to accomplish. So when we make decisions, how can we help the mayor move her agenda? And if you look at her agenda, it's very well aligned with the things we do. So for one thing, she wants to deliver high quality services. Well, so do we. We want to have a one-stop that delivers the best services in all of St. Louis, if not all of the Midwest or all of the country. We want people to come to our one-stop and get the services they need and get them smoothly, efficiently, effectively, and not have to go from one person to another before they can get service. So how can we make sure we're always delivering high quality services to the people who come to us and need those services? The mayor wants to transform St. Louis into a thriving hub for business. Well, we are all about employer services. We are all about workplace-based training, such as on-the-job training, internships, incumbent worker training. All of those programs put money into employer pockets that allows them to expand their businesses, generate more revenue, and want to be in the city of St. Louis because the mayor and the board workforce development are all moving toward the same goal. The mayor wants to drive inclusive prosperity by improving housing and addressing homelessness and supporting workforce growth through immigration and ensuring every child in St. Louis has access to quality education. And of course, those are underlying principles for the things that we do every day. And finally, the mayor is about public safety and justice. And that is building both a safer and more, not just a safer city, but a more just city by reducing crime and increasing street safety, but also expanding opportunities for returning citizens so we don't have recidivism. And those are all priorities that might very well align with some of the board's priorities as we think about decisions that we make. Okay, next one. So the mayor and the board initiate the one-stop partner coordination through the selection of a one-stop operator. And what we did is we had a procurement a while back, and we selected EDSI to operate our one-stop. And in our procurement, we also asked for providers who would be able to provide us with a person who could serve as the one-stop operator. So EDSI has in fact identified someone, Rebecca, who serves as our one-stop operator. And the one-stop operator is responsible for meeting a whole set of requirements that are articulated in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And so we have separate clauses and requirements for our one-stop operator, in addition to the things that our one-stop provider, EDSI, has to accomplish. And one of the other things I wanted to tell you about our one-stop operator, we get a number of grants that require what we call career services. People come in, they want help directly getting a job, or they like to know about what the labor market is like, or they would like to participate in one of our one-shops. So we have a number of services that are universal services that anybody walking into the one-stop can receive. And then we have another set of services that are reserved for individuals who meet eligibility criteria. And one of the things that we try to do is to reduce duplication by understanding what our partners do, so that when we have someone who comes into the one-stop that might need services from one of our partners, or is more appropriate for one of our partners, or the partner has someone appropriate for us, our one-stop operator helps to facilitate cross-referrals and understanding between our partners about what everybody's role is. Next one. The mayor and the board, we agree with the state on how we're going to achieve our one-stop performance measures. And supposedly we do try to negotiate those measures with the state. And we do meet with the state every 2 years to talk about what the measures will be. And then our provider, EDSI, and Connie and her staff who oversee that contract work to make sure that we make those measures. And as you have seen from our reports, we have been increasingly doing much, much better on our measures. I think we're at the point where we're just about making all of our measures. So we're really doing very, very well. Next one. I don't know who's turning, Svetlana?
Me.
Okay. Once our local boards are appointed, they, like the mayor, address governance. So we, of course, elect our officers, right? And we also create committees as provided for in the bylaws. We have ad hoc committees for special projects, and we determine if a committee will include or not include non-board members. Although the state now has issued guidance that does require us on some of our committees to include individuals from the community, not just board members. The board directs the activities, the board directs its activities through its committees. Okay, next one. Keep going. So one of the things that the board is responsible for is for engaging employers, because 10% of our people in the community are on 90% of the boards. And so our employers know many other employers. And we often come to our board members and say, do you know somebody appropriate that we could present to the mayor who might be interested in serving on the board when we have an vacancy? Our board members are our ambassadors to the community. When you're at a chamber meeting or you're at real estate association meeting or medical association meeting or health association meeting. We're always hoping that our board members will be familiar enough with the activities that we do so that when your fellow employers talk about recruiting and hiring and training, you can say to them, wait a minute, we have a workforce development agency, Slate, in the city. They can help you with lots of the things you need to accomplish, and that will also be helping the residents of our city. Our board members also identify our occupations that are in demand. We get a list from the state, but then we turn to you to tell us, are these the right occupations in demand? Because we can only pay for training for occupations that are actually in demand. We cannot pay for training that is not in demand. And that makes sense. Why would we train somebody for a job that does not exist? Okay. We also engage employers by linkages. We invest in intermediaries. We invest in the employer use of the One Stop through ads and social media. We're always promoting the One Stop. We try to engage employers by enhancing communication and collaboration between employers, economic development, and our One Stop partners. And by doing this, what we want is for them to invest in the workforce activities that meet their needs. So we're not asking the employers for money. We're asking them to work with us so that we can provide them with funds to upgrade and upskill their staff or to hire new staff that has the skills that they need. Next one. Our boards are responsible for actually analyzing economic conditions, looking at statewide Wagner-Peiser labor market information, researching and collecting data and analyzing local workforce needs, and getting input from the community so that we can support economic growth, which is a major priority of the mayor. Well, how do we do this? We're not sending any of you out to analyze information, but when you ask us questions, we then will go out and collect the data and bring the data back to you. And sometimes the data doesn't always match what you know on the ground. And in those instances, we ask for you to give us input so we can make sure we're doing the right thing. And I'll give you a quick example. I was working in Louisiana some time ago. And while I was working there, I think I was working with the New Orleans board. And what was happening was that at that time, there was a lot of oil business. So it was quite some time ago. And they had no one to fill the jobs. But because it was not on the state's occupations in demand list, we couldn't train in those jobs. And so the board brought that issue up at a board meeting, and we then moved it up to the state, who then added those kinds of jobs to their targeted occupations list or demand list, and we were able to train in those occupations. Next one. You know, I think this is a quote that I like to share. For every 1% increase in the rate of new businesses started in the state, there's a 2% decline in the poverty rate. And that's one of the reasons why we do work hard to analyze economic conditions and to develop strategies to combat poverty and to move people from poverty to self-sufficiency. Next one. Local boards impact also the direction of education. And what I mean by that is if we are referring people to training, and we're only referring people to training that are for occupations in demand, well, the education system is going to want to provide courses in those areas. They also don't want to provide courses in occupations that are not in demand. And in particular, today, education is measured by their individuals who are graduating and also by individuals who are attaining credentials. And so they're interested in seeing what's important over here to business because they want to make sure their course offerings are aligned with business. Next one. As boards, we lead efforts to develop and implement career pathways and identify and promote strategies and initiatives. And this, by the way, is not just at the board level, but it's also, even though we don't generally serve K through 12, except for the slightly older youth, it impacts K through 12 because career pathways are beginning at earlier and earlier ages before we touch them in WIOA youth programs. Next one. So for our local boards, consider how to make our one-stops more technologically efficient. And that's another issue that we're looking at, especially with AI. And all these things we look at are different ways to spend the funds we receive. And we try to balance how we're spending dollars on infrastructure as opposed to how much we're spending dollars on our participants. And in Missouri, the state does require that we spend 50% of the dollars we receive on training for the adults and dislocated workers. Next one. Local boards also try to leverage local resources and capacity by soliciting and accepting grants and donations from non-federal sources. And annually and every 3 years across the one-stop system, our board, all of you who are on the phone, on the meeting today, will be able to participate when we certify our one-stops. We to ask board members to walk through and see how everything is going and let us know that you feel that these one-stops are operating in a way that's efficient and good for our customers. Next one. Our board also drives our programs because you decide to invest in work-based training, such as work experience, as I mentioned before, on-the-job training, incumbent worker training, customized training, and transitional employment. And what we do is we tell you these activities, and then when we work with EDSI on their budget, we will say, we would like to see you spend money on these activities and report how you're spending dollars to make sure that we are actually offering all the available services to the employers and residents in our community. Next one. Svetlana? Keep going. So our boards actually, we get millions of dollars and we ask you how we should invest those dollars. And just like the city board of aldermen or city council might determine how a budget is moved within a city, we determine through the board how our budget is moved. And because our boards are open, the public has a chance to weigh in on decisions if they care to come to our board meetings and ask to be recognized. We also work with our partners who are both on the board and not on the board, who are always available to give us input to what's going on. Boards and local elected officials must make sure that we have public access to who the board members are, our bylaws, our activities, our minutes. All of these things are posted on our website because we're required to do business in a transparent manner. Next one. And so one of the things I did want to just mention to you is that we are required to have strict observance of conflict of interest rules. And in WIOA, conflict of interest is not just if you have a pecuniary benefit, but it's also if you have an organizational conflict. So if you serve on the board, if we had a Big Brothers and Big Sisters in the city of St. Louis, and you served on the board of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and you also served on our board, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters was applying for funds here, you would have to recuse yourself and not enter into any discussion, any selection of the provider, or vote on whether they should be selected to be a provider. And you must not only do that, but you have to publicly declare your conflict so everybody knows that you have a conflict and you're not participating. And it is important to remind people sometimes, because I just had one of my clients in Pennsylvania. I had a staff issue where staff were serving on the boards of entities they funded. And I said, well, how would you be able to monitor an entity if you're also serving on their board? It's a conflict. And they said, no, but we want to do it to make sure they do the right thing. I said, it doesn't matter what your intent is. What matters is whether you're violating the rule. And so it's sometimes conflict is not always as apparent as one might think. Next one. So we are ready now. We have a relatively new executive director, not so new anymore since April. We have a new mayor since April, and we have new directions that we're following. So as we come back here now in the fall, we're really ready to get down to business. And I know that Connie and the staff, Cassandra and our new fiscal director, all have directions that we are going to move in, and we're going to do that under the oversight and the policy guidance of every one of you as our board. So thank you so very much for giving me this time, and I look forward to spending some more time on other trainings. And I guess let me turn this back over to our chair, and if anybody has any questions, depending on time, I can answer them quickly.
Hey,
Thanks so
Justin,
much, Rochelle. Yep.
I do have just a quick question. Thank you. That was really, really helpful. Thank you. Is it Rochelle?
Yes, Rochelle.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Rochelle. So I'm just wondering, of course, I'm a city resident, and I just wonder, I know we have initiatives, we have mayors, we had a different mayor of course, prior to April, and a different mayor prior to that. Are there any initiatives that the city is still focused on that the new mayor, Kara Spencer, will continue to move forward that we see as important for the city of St. Louis, despite being a new administration?
Well, I might haven't thought about that, but I would rather turn that over to Connie, because Connie really is the mayor's appointee, and she is the one who would connect with the mayor to help us in terms of following a direction. And I think Connie would be a better responder to that question.
Okay.
I will do my best. I will say that unequivocally, I think that the mayor's vision is to expand the scope of the workforce space that the agency is currently in, meaning that not only are we expected to continue providing the services and programs that we currently do, but she is looking at a more global look at workforce across the board, meaning other groups and demographics that we would not, people who don't qualify for WIOA. So for example, we are being, I guess years ago, maybe there's been kind of back and forth about roles and responsibilities, but I think Otis Williams, who's the acting director for SLDC, is heading up a committee, if you will, of 5 agencies that are all dedicated to economic development. Those organizations are SLATE, CDA, PDA, and AHC, Affordable Housing Commission.
Too many acronyms, Connie.
Okay, okay. PDA, CDA, the Community Development Agency, the Affordable Housing Commission, and ourselves, SLATE.
Okay.
We've been identified as the agencies that touch and concern economic development. Obviously, SLATE is there for the workforce piece. We're now meeting like on a weekly basis, so that we're all kind of like aligned with what's going on. And so the economic development piece, while I think historically the city has just focused on the projects, they really want to, it seems or appears, that they want to enforce the language in some of these agreements, such as the Millennium, a project like the Millennium that's getting tax credits or getting other benefits from the city. When it's time to hire people, that they will work with SLATE to hire people, all people. So I definitely sense that there's a movement to make sure that when these big projects come into the city, that there's some active enforcement of that clause that requires them to work with SLATE to employ people. I also think that in terms of just general looking at workforce initiatives across the board, i.e. When large employers do layoffs or large employers are about to do massive hiring initiatives, that we're at the table. For example, I am part of a cohort with the James McDonald Foundation that is discussing workforce in terms of making sure St. Louis retains talent, how to keep people here after they graduate from WashU and St. Louis U. It's a more broad discussion. So I guess in summary, I'm saying is that my directives have been to continue the path in terms of what the agency does, but also being brought into a larger scale discussion of economic development, specifically as it pertains to workforce. Now, what does that mean in the future? It means in the future that when the permanent director for SLDC is put in place, that this committee that is kind of a loose committee will become a formal committee. Okay. And that whatever's going on in the workforce space, I'll be reporting to the SLDC director directly. So that's the direction, I guess, in terms of workforce right now.
Very helpful.
I don't know if that helps or confuses, but I'm just kind of going with the flow. I get a meeting invitation and I show up.
That was very helpful, Connie. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
You all, any other questions? Okay, we will move. Thank you, Rochelle, again for that presentation. We'll move to the approval of minutes. I'll pause here if anyone had any questions, corrections on the minutes from our July 22nd, 2025 meeting.
Justin,
If
quick
not,
question-
I will. Yep.
Quick question, do you all see the agenda on the screens right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Svetlana. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have this?
I'm sorry,
Thank
could you say your name? the
Oh,
first and the
sorry,
second?
Charlotte
Uh-huh.
Hammond, so moved.
And then Julie seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion here? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that carries. We'll move into the consent agenda. As a reminder, this is largely just various reports and summaries of our committee meetings and the labor workforce participation and the fiscal monitoring report. So collectively, those are all various reports that have been circulated in advance. I'll pause here. Are there any discussions on any of the individual reports? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
This is Eileen. I motion that we approve.
Thanks, Eileen.
Second, Mike Newton.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Great. So our first order of new business is the overview of grant applications, new programs and initiatives. So I'll hand it over to Connie.
Okay, so basically, we had decided, I guess, kind of reading the tea leaves, that the agency needed to start actively pursuing grants and not just kind of depending 100% on the state and federal funds. And so we started looking at different programs that we could, that we considered, you know, within reach. So we did apply for the $50,000 grant with St. Louis Community Foundation to support supportive services for our WIOA for adults seeking employment or career advancement. According to Amy, we might hear something as soon as next week, but we did apply for that in the name of the board. Thank you for that, because some of these grants require the not-for-profit to apply versus a government agency. Again, another example is the Want To grant, we partner with BioSTL, providing technical assistance to expand women's participation in apprenticeships and non-traditional occupations. Thank you, Justin, for connecting us with that. I don't know what the status is, but the way these grants are dropping, like they'll drop and then we'll have 5 days to respond. I think this was one of the few grants that we had more than 5 days to put it together, fortunately. And working with Brittany, we were able to partner with this grant. The Prison of Prosperity grant is what we apply for with CDA. CDA has funded reentry programs in the city. And so we made a bid based upon this successful pilot where we just graduated a and Shannon can give you more information on that. I think it was 21 individuals. And then once they leave the Justice Center, we assist them with employment and other services. That program's doing it remarkably well. We applied for that grant. So we don't know when. I think the window is still open, but I think that we're pretty competitive for that grant in large part because it's different than other reentry programs in the region. We're also talking to our grant writers about other potential ones. Some of you, I don't know, may remember we had a grant years ago with HUD. It's called Jobs Plus, but we're trying to identify the right residential community in order to meet the metrics of that grant. So I'm not 100% if we'll be able to move forward with that. We are also preparing for the Youth Bill grant. So we're starting to gather data and information from our previous application. We expect that to drop any day now, so we don't want to be caught off guard. So we're working on that. And just actively, our grant writers are actively kind of looking to see what grants are out there that would support or supplement existing programs, okay, as we kind of await the verdict coming from the federal government. But that's all I have to report on that. I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay.
Thank you, Connie. I'll pause here. Stacy, do you have a question?
Hey, Connie,
Hi, Stacy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. That Jobs Plus grant, if you need any help, let me know. I'm the one who wrote it when we first got it.
Oh,
And
excellent.
I'll be glad to give you any insight to help
I might
you
have
all
to bring,
get that again.
I might have to bring you in, Stacy, because I think that there's a knowledge vacuum at HUD without, respectfully.
Well, yeah, they're all the people, they're gone. They don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
So
I can tell you from our perspective, and actually we did with the Clinton Peabody when we did
Yeah.
it. So, and I know they're remodeling and doing a lot of stuff there. So I don't know I haven't looked at it. So I don't know the parameters, but I'll be glad to help any way I can to help you get that money.
that would be great. Yeah, maybe we can bring you in on a call because I'm not sure how confident they feel HUD is in terms of identifying a community other than that
Yeah.
can meet the metrics. That's the big problem right now.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks though. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Other questions, discussion? Thank you, Connie and team, for your leadership as you're pursuing these competitive opportunities to increase funding. All right, I will hand it back to you, Connie, to talk about the Slate 50th anniversary recognition at the NAACP dinner.
Okay, thank you. So as you know, we are being honored at the NAACP dinner on October 4th. We have purchased 2 tables, one table dedicated for board members and one for staff. Svetlana has been corresponding to see what board members would like to attend. And I think at this time, only maybe 3 or 4 have responded. So, at this point, if we don't hear back, probably by the end of the week, we'll just go ahead and open up the table for additional employees to participate. But we'd love to have some participation from the board. And for those of you who've already committed, thank you. We did send out information in case other people wanted to buy individual tickets, but we just hope that you can be a part of it. This is kind of I won't say a substitute, but we were planning, the organization was planning a gala that never came to fruition in honor of the 50th anniversary. So when NAACP sent the letter offering to recognize us for 50 years of workforce, I'm like, okay, this is not the gala we all anticipated and planned, but nonetheless, it's an acknowledgement of the agency. And so I definitely, we make it work, and it's an acknowledgement. And Maxine Waters is the keynote speaker. That was something that had delayed, I guess, the event. But Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's a native of St. Louis, who is a living legend, will be our keynote speaker. So I'm super excited about that. I've met her once, and just super excited about her speaking. It's going to be a good night. So hopefully you guys can come out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you, Connie. And I noted that Svetlana is sending out various communication related to it. We hope folks can join for the evening. But what a wonderful celebration, and very exciting to hear about Congresswoman Waters being able to speak. Connie, do you want to talk through any of these other upcoming events?
So tomorrow is our big apprenticeships and trades career fair. Will be held here. I'm gonna punt politely to Shannon to give us an update on the apprentice fair, the Workforce Wednesday, and Find a Job Fridays. These next 3 bullets, Shannon, over to you.
All right, good morning, everybody. How we doing today?
Good,
So,
Shannon.
tomorrow, as Connie was saying, we will be having the Apprenticeships and Trades Career Fair that is from 9 to noon here at Slate on the first floor. So I'm really excited about how tomorrow was looking. We have over 40 employers as well as vendors and resources that will be available. Some of them are actually doing interviews and prepared to do conditional job offers. So that's going to be 9 to noon from like our normal job fairs will be. It is going to be a phenomenal time. I know so far just in pre-registration, when I checked it yesterday, it was well over 60 individuals that just pre-registered. So that was just pre-registration. So if nothing else, that's going to give us a great indication that this is going to be a great turnout. And as far as it goes for the month of October, we will be doing Workforce Wednesdays as well as Find a Job Fridays. And so with Workforce Wednesdays, those will be for Workforce Wednesday, it's going to be October 8th and October 21st from 1 to 3. And Find a Job Fridays are going to be October 17th and October 31st, which will be from 9 to noon. Those will be a little bit more intimate. We're looking at having it to where it's about 4 to 6 employers and resources that will be available. We're looking to have some of the big dogs out there, that are willing and ready to do on-site interviews and either offer a position or do conditional job offers as well too, pending, background checks and anything else like that. But we're looking to make it to where it's very impactful and we get some results, in the numbers when individuals come out to participate. We're also having in the midst of that right there to prepare individuals for success. We will be having some of the business services team members working diligently prior to the events to help them, buff up the resumes and kind of ace the interviews with some of our workshops that we already offer. So I'm extremely excited about that. And then December 4th and 5th, we're doing back-to-back days of a job fair for Holly Jolly. But leading up to that from tomorrow all the way up until December, we're pretty much preparing people for um, holidays. Getting individuals, whether they are getting permanent employment out the gate or they're getting temporary employment and could lead up to permanent employment. So we are trying to cover all bases, but if individuals are looking forward to getting into apprenticeships or pre-apprenticeships, we'll have that as the primary focus, but we will definitely have a whole bunch more to offer in there. And just to name a couple, we got Heartland Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, FedEx, Metro, Southwest Airlines. So we have quite a few individuals, and big names that will be in attendance. So I'm really excited for the next couple of months. And then for November, after a meeting tomorrow with the business services team, the Workforce Wednesday or Find a Job Friday, we're going to make it to where it's a little bit more smaller and very, very much more intentional. So we're hoping for some of the big companies with resources to have more impactful conversations as well out there as well too. So there will be more details coming very soon with that as well for November. That's all I got.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, the entire team, for your leadership of these important engagements. So let's go to these upcoming conferences next.
Okay. Okay, so the OWD is the annual summit, something that happens every year. It's at the Lake of the Ozarks. We are in the process now of registering. Myself and Cassandra will definitely be going, and possibly Miss Marilyn as our new fiscal manager. Good way to get out there and learn and get baptized with fire. The Missouri Reentrance Conference, sponsored by Arches, is something that they do regularly. At this time, we have representatives from our business services team who will be attending, Miss L, and then also our newly promoted Levita Hunt, who's an administrative assistant, is now our employment training specialist too. And that position focuses on community outreach with emphasis on our justice impaired clients and reentry efforts. So the two of them will be going to that conference. The Youth Symposium, I'm going to kick it over to Shannon.
All right, I'm back, guys. I'm back. So just an update. So from the pre-registration that I talked about, the 60 something, we are up to 85 as of this morning. So just from yesterday up until this morning, we're 24 up just from 24-hour situation. So it's looking really good, looking really, really good. So I'm excited about it. But so for the Youth Symposium, it is with the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, better known as NADP. This conference is normally a really, really great conference. We normally have about 1,500 individuals that participate in this event, and it is solely focused on how to service the youth. So they have a bunch of breakout sessions, they have a bunch of networking opportunities, a bunch of vendors that are in attendance, and they're really showcasing some of the tips, tricks, and how to break down some of the barriers that we may face when it comes to grant funding, or if it comes to how to be creative with the funding that you do have, especially in this time where we kind of are up in the air as to where funding is going to go. And if things are going to get cut, if it's going to be weird, anything else like that, what are some creative ways that we can still stay successful out here? So I tell people all the time, and it's because I'm also a board member, but I also love what it is that we talk about and what the passion is. I say if you can attend these NADP events, become a member, and yeah, I would say it's going to be a phenomenal time. It's going to be in New Orleans, so it's definitely going to be a great time, but it's going to be a lot of information, and it's a great opportunity.
Oh,
That's it.
thank you all. Like a lot of exciting work and efforts happening. So I'll pause here for any matters from the board. Jerry?
So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know of something that another region's doing that might be a best practice or something you may want to look into. Tomorrow, West Central is hosting, in conjunction with State Fair Community College and the Department of Corrections, a reentry poverty simulation for all the employers in the community. So the employers understand what somebody coming out of incarceration has to face. And how they can help get them into sustainable employment, which is bringing revenue into the community, reducing the crime rate, reducing recidivism. So they've done this simulation with all of the state of Missouri HR directors, but now it's getting into the communities where the rubber meets the road, getting in front, DOC getting in front of our employers and showing them, you know, how easy it is to slide back into something if they aren't given an opportunity to really find work that will support them and their back child support and all the things that they face as they come out. I did the poverty simulation with DOC a year ago. If you've never done it, I highly recommend it. If you want to do it up in the area, give me a shout. I've got some contacts. It's definitely, it will open eyes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry. What a important opportunity to engage. Charlotte?
Yeah, just and we don't have to answer it on this meeting, but I actually heard this from a colleague of mine yesterday that what's included in the big beautiful bill, that individuals who are receiving assistance, that they have 2 years to that they will no longer be qualified, I guess, to be on assistance. And I don't know exactly the language in that. And is that 2 years for, this, once it's approved moving forward, or if it's 2 years, if you've been on it for 2 years, you're automatically off of that assistance. And so, how much do people really understand that? What's about to happen and how prepared are they to enter back into the workforce. And so when you talk about workforce development, and some of it I think is education for folks to know that this is about to happen across the country, and it's going to be devastating. for the individuals.
We've already been in conversations with the Family Support Division, Department of Social Services. They're currently food stamp recipients are migrated into our system. They are looking at Medicaid also because they're going to have this requirement that they have to look for work or be in training to maintain benefits for some of them. So there already are conversations happening on how, I mean, workforce is going to play an integral part in helping support these individuals that may not have worked for a long time, overcoming barriers and
Yes.
finding employment. So we don't know what it looks like yet, but conversations are already starting to happen. And I think we really need to start having the conversations because these are individuals that may not have been in the workforce. They don't have resumes. They're not work ready, and we need to be ready for them because they will
Yes.
become.
Yes.
I would just to kind of co-sign on that. What I think should probably, what I'd humbly recommend is that when the budget, however it looks, gets passed. Right now, it looks like we're going in continuing resolution land, and from my perspective, that's the best case scenario for us, because typically CRs will just kind of maintain the status quo and not do draconian cuts. But in the event and when we get more clarity, I would almost recommend maybe a special meeting to walk through, because I mean, I'm getting correspondence from organizations that are asking for us to actively lobby, send letters to Congress folks and senators to maintain, to keep our funding. But on the other hand, we just don't know what that looks like. That's part of the reason I hate to segue into the matters from the executive director, that I sent out as part of this meeting, the actual report from the golden age of workforce. I found it very insightful, and I feel like that's putting us on notice. That is part of the reason that we were moving forward so aggressively with having this apprenticeship fair. Okay, we are trying to, as far as I'm concerned, I think years ago there was a more emphasis on apprenticeship here at the agency, and we got some. But now this is clear that the direction from DC is that apprenticeships is the wave of the future. So we're going to have to pivot, okay? And that's why I really applaud Shannon and his team for the work that they've done in getting this apprenticeship fair going tomorrow. The fact that we got 80 people pre-registered and 40 employers, it shows that that people are listening. So I think to kind of both things, once we get more budget updates, when I get those, I'll continue to ask Sethlana to distribute that to the board, because the information that I get, I just want to share and push out. But when we get down into, okay, here's the gavel, okay, we can work through. I do know that Cassandra and I went to the state workforce meeting last week in Jefferson City, as well as the continuing the Board of Higher Education. We also had a Teams meeting, and one thing that we have been told is that we're good for the year. Okay, we're good. Okay, we got 1 year, we're good. But what happens after the 1 year is what remains unknown. So as an agency, we want to position ourselves to be kind of and I talked about Slate being the liaison for this region as it pertains to apprenticeships. We don't need everybody in our wheelhouse. We're workforce. This is us. So everybody else, if y'all want to work with us, come work with us, but don't get in our mix, because this is our time and opportunity to shine. I got about 5 emails right now with people emailing me from all over the country about apprenticeships. So this is what I like, that they contact us and creates opportunities. Shannon's gotten like 5 emails already this morning. He's probably ready to jump out the window. I'm sorry, Shannon. But it's hot. So that's what's going on. I think we should just, I'll keep you updated. And if the gavel gets lowered in some way that's absolutely devastating, that we need to talk, I think maybe we'll have maybe by November, or maybe by November when we have the next board meeting, we'll know some things more definitively and we can hash it out during that meeting. That's all I got, Miss Charlotte.
No, thank you. And I have to say, Connie, that Slate was the agency that introduced apprenticeships to our organization, and we were the second in the country for a nonprofit to have an apprenticeship program for people with disabilities. So it really is because of Slate that we even started. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you. I think Shannon mentioned, I can't remember, MUS, Midwest Urban Strategies, will be here on site tomorrow. They're going to be here for the next couple of days. Primarily, one of the things they wanted to do, they wanted to meet me, but they also wanted to discuss this workforce. They're the ones leading the advocacy efforts with other workforce centers. So they're going to be here for a couple of days. They'll meet with program staff, and hopefully we'll learn what they know from their federal lobbyists or federal government affairs person, and then we'll get more information. We did receive recognition from the Board of Aldermen. Our new Alderwoman, Jamie Cox Antwi, a nice resolution from the board we're going to have framed and we'll put in the front somewhere in the main display area. We are currently still actively collecting data regarding the tornado and the impact specifically on workforce. And our numbers are going up. And the one thing, in addition to the fact that people need jobs, is that people are saying, I need mental health services. People are acknowledging that this tornado, it took their homes, maybe took their jobs, but it's taken a toll on their mental health. I am glad that people are being honest and forthright about this. This is a completely different, but this is like Suicide Awareness Month. And so the issues regarding mental health are equally as important. And if people are not right mentally, they can't function in a work environment or even a home environment. So that's the one thing that's really standing out about our data collection, is a remarkable demand for mental health services. So I know that Rebecca Ritter, our one-stop operator, we have cards at the front desk, our behavioral health services card. Staff has been reminded when you see signs of distress to try to coordinate clients to get them there. We did have a situation about a week ago where a client came into the center. He's a homeless gentleman, and he expressed a need to end his life. He also expressed a need saying, and people differ in terms of how it played out, but he said something along the lines of, if he crashed out, then he could get arrested, and then he would have a place to sleep and he would have something to eat. And the fact that he felt like he needed to act out in a way that could cause harm to himself or others in order to get the basic necessities of life met, made us all pause for the cause. So it's real, and staff, I applaud staff for how they handled it. But it's also a reminder that, sometimes, things may be out of our realm, and just reminding staff, don't be afraid to hit the security button if necessary. So we were able to manage it in a peaceful way. I think the gentleman got services, and I guess it's just another day at Slate. People are coming in with their baggage, and they're our clients, and we look and we actively work to get them placed where they need to be placed. So the Teagle, oh my God, this is going to be interesting. I don't know, it's been frozen, but basically saying we need documentation for folks who are coming in receiving services. I do know, Ms. Hammond, this is an issue that the mayor is kind of focused on. Right now, we've been told that it's put on pause, and I don't know if Jerry has any update, but it's from my understanding, it's not a matter of if, it's just when. And how that will impact our clients who are non-English speaking, who are immigrants, I don't know. I think it would have a negative impact, but we're preparing for it.
So I can say that I have applied for a SAVE application and been denied 3 times, and that's where you can go in and enter information and find out if they are registered and authorized to work in the United States. I've sent it to our legal counsel to fill out. The USCIS did call me and said that most of the applications are coming from the legal department. So I have sent it up to our legal department to hopefully get our access to that. There's tiered access inside of there. So then we would be able to get the job center supervisors, one-stop operators access. But I will say this, the people that are coming in that are not citizens have their paperwork with them. It's our citizens that do not have, well, you're not supposed to carry your social security card with you. You're supposed to keep it locked up in a safe place. It is being, I hate to say, it's being discriminatory. It's putting a barrier in front of our citizens to receive services. I think the RISA will be greatly impacted by this. We won't be able to do a RISA appointment with a customer if they don't have all their documentation uploaded. It is on hold. And right now we're going to continue doing work as we've been doing. But once it's in place, we'll have to have documentation before we can offer any type of service, staff assisted service to our individuals. And I do think it's going to put a barrier on our citizens because they don't carry all of that information with them. I have had Becky Fletcher approach USDOL about the new ID that we have to have, the real ID.
Real ID.
Because I had to produce my birth certificate, my social security card, all of the stuffs to get this. So it should count for all of the documentation needed.
Absolutely.
So
Marriage certificate. My mom's 85. She needs to renew. I
will
gotta
s-
find it.
I will say, just from an employer perspective, one of the challenges that we have had is hiring people and not being able to start them on time because they needed to provide 2 forms of ID for I-9 verification through the government. So I know it's painful and it's a barrier for your services. It's even a barrier to employment. So it's really important for us to get ahead of that and have people get their copies, real social security cards. I know it's a pain in the butt. It's a royal pain in the butt for us. And certainly for people who desperately want to start working for us, and we can't let them. But I think the sooner we get ahead of it and start instructing people really early on in the job search that they're going to need 2 forms of legal identification to pass the I-9 verification that's required to work here now. I think that's important to get ahead of it.
good point.
So yeah, there's a lot, and along those lines, we are actively trying to engage St. Louis Community College with bringing back ESL classes. So how will that potentially impact? But more to follow on that. Promotions and new hires. You've met Miss Marilyn, our new fiscal manager. Yesterday we had a new accountant, Mr. Bilal Siddiqui. He came from the Justice Center, and that was a vacancy that we already had. Miss Angie Shavaria, she will be a contract compliance officer starting in 2 weeks. She is from Columbia, obviously fluent in Spanish, so we have we'll have another full-time employee that's fluent in Spanish, which will be a great asset. Promotions, Demi Braggs, who was an accountant, is now an accounting coordinator. So her position is now vacant. Ms. Levita Hunt, as I mentioned, has gone from administrative assistant to appointment training specialist 2. And our very own Svetlana has been promoted from executive secretary to public information officer 2. Woo! So right now she is on loan for the board, and we will actively we're working on the job description because in her new capacity she won't be our board person. So that person has will be working that out along the way, but congratulations to everybody. We are, the accounting position is open. I know they're about to start doing more interviews. The administrative assistant and executive secretary positions are in process right now. Job descriptions being updated and will be posted soon. Well, I'll say soon, maybe in October. We'll put it that way. So congratulations, everybody. The city has updated their FMLA policy. Basically, people were able to get advance leave, but now they have to use their own leave to go on FMLA. So that's kind of, I guess it's something they had been talking about for about a year, and they finally pulled the trigger on it. So for some employees, it's created a kind of some shock waves. And we expect more guidance to come about regarding FMLA in the future. But this is, I guess, the biggest personnel announcement, if you will, coming from the city. So that's all I have. A lot of moving pieces. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you all for the rich discussion. I know there's a lot of things for us to navigate, as there's several changes at multiple levels, local, state, and federal. I appreciate everyone's continued commitment to this work as we work together to move forward. I also just want to pause and congratulate all those from the Slate team on their career advancements and new opportunities, but particularly Svetlana, it's been a pleasure working with you in this capacity. For those of us that have been on the board for a while, you have kept us going, and it's been a pleasure to continue to work with you and be informed and engaged through your work. So thank you for that, particularly. Congratulations on your new role, and we look forward to working with someone else that they have shoes to fill for sure. Okay. Svetlana, do we have any folks from the public?
Yes, we do. In fact, one of our public individuals raised a hand. So someone is really eager to speak. If we can unmute them, let me see. Good. Monique, you can now address the board. Can you introduce yourself and say, and let us know what question would you like to say or make a comment? Miss Monique?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear.
Yes,
we can hear you.
yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monique White, and I'm the executive director of All About Family One, which is a non-for-profit 501c3 agency. And I just wanted to share something that I found in regards to the United States Department of Labor, in regards to some grant funding that could possibly assist Slate. But our agency provides services like healthcare, career mentorship, and guidance to individuals in the community, as well as therapy and counseling for mobility and mental health, as well as substance use disorder prevention and treatment. We also work directly with individuals that receive state benefits who will be affected by the Big Beautiful Bill Act is in regard to their Medicaid and food stamp benefits. But I just wanted to share, Ms. Johnson, with you guys, if you all came across this grant funding that's for training Americans workers for jobs in high demand and emerging industries through the United States Department of Labor. It was posted on August the 7th, and I'm thinking the deadline is September the 5th. So I just wanted to share that with you guys to see if you all were aware of that.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know how long you've been in the meeting, but I kind of mentioned that we're actively working with our grant writers to identify opportunities that are consistent with our current and existing programs. And then obviously apprenticeships are a big part of what we do. And so we'll be looking to see if we have proper alignment with some of those opportunities. Well, we appreciate your sharing, and we'll continue to be on the outlook for those opportunities. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I just, when I came across it and I saw that it was only available for the state workforce agencies, for them being eligible to apply, then I just started looking into Slate and figured out when you all was going to have the board meeting. So, I mean, I really enjoyed you all's presentation, and I'm just trying to figure out how can our entity, you know, fit into the into your missions.
Well, ma'am, we have an open door policy. You can reach out directly to Cephalana, and we can and always schedule a meeting to learn more about your organization and to see if there's opportunity for us to work together. So if you want to put your information in the chat, we're more than happy to do that. We meet with people all the time. We learn new things about new programs and organizations all the time. And so you're welcome to reach out, and we'll be happy to organize something, a meeting with you.
Okay, that'd be wonderful. Cephalana, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in the chat, it's saying that it's disabled. So I was just wondering how I can get in touch with Cephalana.
Cephalana, I don't know why that's disabled. I tell you what, in the meeting.
I enabled it. She should be able to get in now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, wonderful. Any other matters from the public?
Yes, we have another phone number here. Let me see. Someone whose phone number ends with 2591. Could you please identify yourself and ask a question or make a comment to the board? Hello? Hello?
Svetlana,
Yes.
can you hear? This is Suzanne Egan. I just dialed in today.
Okay.
Oh, this is our board member, Susan Egan.
Yep.
Susan, how long have you been listening? Have you been from the beginning?
I've been listening from the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll make we'll amend our list for a roll call. Thank you so much
Okay,
for coming
thanks.
in. Appreciate it. Well,
Great,
Mr.
thanks,
Chair, this
Susan.
is this is all our public those who are on the public side. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Well, we'll make sure that to follow up from that last comment and make sure contact information is shared. But I will at this point entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion, Jerry Bowles, to adjourn the meeting.
Thanks, Jerry. Do we have
This
a
is
second?
Eileen, I second.
Thanks, Eileen. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you all for your time. We will see you next time.